Hey, what's happening YouTube? Thanks for stopping by and checking out my channel. Today, this video, we'll be talking about some major updates with your IRS 2020 tax return. So this is your update for Friday, March 19th, 2021. So let's just jump right into this major update from the IRS Commissioner Rettig, who testified in front of the House Ways and Means Oversight Committee. This was yesterday, and this is for the 2021 tax filing season. So there's a lot going on, and there's been so many questions, unanswered questions, and correspondence and delays, etc., etc. And the Ways and Means Oversight Committee finally had a chance to sit down with the IRS's commissioner and ask him some questions about what's going on with the 2019, what's going on with the 2020, what's going on with a lot of different things. So I made a few notes. It was about 2 hours long, so I'll probably try to keep this as short and minimal and to the point as possible. Don't forget, if you like videos like these and you find them useful for yourself or your family or your community, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It just helps push videos like these out to other viewers just like yourself. So for starters, the deadline was obviously, I'd just like to reiterate, was pushed off. An important thing to note, the deadline that has been pushed off to May 17th, that is only for low-income families. This is not for corporate companies or big businesses, so I think that's an important thing to note. People have been trying to figure out what's going on with the customer service, what happened with the second stimulus, where did we go wrong, what is happening, and where are we at moving forward with the implementation and the guidance for the $1.9 trillion rescue plan, stimulus payment plan, economic impact payment plan, whatever you want to call it. We finally got some answers from the commissioner of the IRS, and I thought I would pass those along to you this morning. And I really hope that you guys will get some kind of use out of this and, share this message with other people you know. And if there's something that I mention, I got a lot of comments and questions on the last video. If there's something that I don't mention, feel free to comment below, or if you have any updated information, feel free to drop that in the comments. I'll be, certain to take a look at that, and I try to respond to those as quickly as possible. I don't generally make a second video just for the simple fact of answering questions for comments. I just try to get to those as quickly as possible. Hopefully I've done a good job about that. And I really appreciate all of you guys who have been supportive and helped bump me up to trying to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. My watch time hours, everything's going through the sky, and I just wanted to say I really appreciate that. I want to keep up the hard work and keep delivering good content and good information to help you guys, help each other, and help us all be, in a better place. So this video is really about a lot of the challenges that the IRS has faced with implementing, this new rescue plan, the issues they had with the understaffing and the 2019 paper amended returns. And so we're going to address a couple of those things, like the second stimulus, why they had problems with that, and what is going on with the customer service issues. I may throw in some little facts about, some different statistics here and there. You may or may not like them. I'll start with this one, which is there was a lot of questions and concerns about constituents that had questions from, their territories, from Republicans who, I just want to remind everybody, not a single Republican voted for this stimulus package, but everybody obviously has questions because it obviously impacts everyone that are, low income families. So first, I think it's important to note, what are the resources? That's one of the big complaints of the IRS commissioner, is that their resources are very limited and they have been underfunded. And these are, obviously extremely critical factors when trying to determine whether or not you can actually deliver something that you may or may not have the means or resources to do so. So there is a huge backlog of 2019 returns. The IRS has about 80,000 employees, but they only have 13,760 employees who actually handle the CSR, customer service relations. So that's a huge kind of indication of where they're at, where they need to be, why there's been so many correspondence issues and disconnect between the taxpayers, the congressmen, and the CPAs, the accountants, everybody, that's trying to get all this stuff done in an efficient way. So hopefully this will shed some light on bringing some understanding, because it made a ton of sense to me, and it was nice to finally get, from the horse's mouth themselves, some answers to these questions. And so I hope that you can appreciate some of these. I'm certain that some of you will. One of the things that they had mentioned in this hearing was that only 9 cents on the dollar of this $1.9 trillion rescue plan was actually spent on the stimulus. So there's a few, really important things to note, which is within 24 hours, we've given the IRS a lot of slack, and I'm not really trying to defend them, but I am only trying to understand the reasoning behind what is actually taking so long for some of us to actually get our returns when it's been past the 21 days. They're not answering the phone. We're not getting any correspondence. I haven't gotten a letter. I'm still being processed, and yet, we have nothing. So it's really nice to finally get some information from the commissioner of the IRS himself about what is going on, where the breakdown and the disconnect is between the government saying this is what we need you to do, and the IRS saying these are the only resources available to us. And even though some of the resources were, overall funded for the IRS for implementing some of these different things. Their computers are old. About 16% of their computers are running old, outdated computers and software. And so they really got a lot going on. But say they were given 50, don't use this quote, but let's just say they were given a certain amount of money, and then like 45% of that is what actually made it to the IRS, is what the claim is by the IRS. So take that for what it's worth. One important thing that I feel like is important to note is that I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a tax preparer, I'm not any type of legal financial advisor. I'm just a YouTuber trying to spread the word, share the info, and help as many people as possible. That's my disclaimer. Take it for what it's worth. So the 2019 backlog, the IRS has 80,000 employees, like 13,760 of them are actually customer service reps. And they, as of today in this hearing, they were saying unprocessed, 2.2 million unprocessed individual returns. I'm not sure if these are, I'm assuming mostly paper returns or amended returns, and 4.4 million businesses that they're still backlogged. And so this has been a continuous issue, and now we have several other things going on with the new stimulus package, with the unemployment tax exemption, the child tax credit, and a few other things that have really impacted our 2020 returns. Even as behind as they were, I think it's important to give credit where it's due. The IRS is doing their very best, and their employees are doing their very best. They actually were, all 80,000 of the IRS employees were sent home last March. And so I was not really aware of that. They don't really have the tools and resources working from home like they would in the office. And so that's definitely been a huge impact on why things have been so difficult and time consuming moving forward with the 2020 returns. So by March 12th, the commissioner says there were 66 million individual returns, and they issued more than 42 million refunds and $126 billion with no delays for earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit. By February 16th and 18th, it was released with no other issues. So the IRS had a budget of $3.1 billion for 2020, which has been increased by $400,000 for 2021. So hopefully this will help get them some funding to get some more staff and get some stuff figured out that will help things start moving forward. The first week alone, February 12th, they had 55 million submissions, federal, state, and business returns. And they were receiving 335 calls per second. And so that's why their call volume has been so horrible. That's why their customer service has been so terrible, and why the guidance has been little to next to none. They said they are working hard to improve their phone level of service, which I think we would all agree with needs a little bit of work. but that they do have some enormous challenges to face, staffing shortages and the closures at the same time back in March of 2019 is what really led to the backlog. One of the coolest parts is if you've already filed, they're saying absolutely should not have to file an amendment for the unemployment tax exemption on your 2020 return. If you haven't filed already, then you may need to get a form for that. But if you have already filed, I'll give you the rundown at the end of what my concerns are with this whole process. But the committee is saying, so there's still 2.4 million individual backlogs. And when are they planning on having this done? The commissioner was asked when they plan on getting up to date and caught up on the backlog for 2019. And their answer was hopefully they're going to work as hard as they can, but by the summer of 2021. And so I'm just like, wow, that's seriously a long ways to go. But what my understanding is that any complications with the backlog from 2019 will not be impacting your 2020 tax return. The only thing that will be impacting that are some of the verification and some of the fraud. So on the backlog, trying to get it done by summer of 2021, they still show 5 million in the queue for verification for the backlog. And currently they're processing about 1.5 million pieces of correspondence per week. Like I said, they have 13,760 customer service reps, and they'll be adding 1,000 more. Hopefully, they just obviously got the additional funding. As for the error code resolutions, those they did say expect 10 to 14 business days. I was unaware that is an office in Kansas City. So useless information there. There's a lot of talk about the auditing of basically people over $1 million and over $10 million and how they were, throwing a lot of statistics and a lot of figures around, but, they were kind of being pressed for why aren't more wealthy people audited at an equal or, same percentage as the low income families. But some of these audits take like 3 years, and so that's just bogus altogether. But I had a couple of other things that I wanted to touch base on while I have your attention here, and that is the unemployment tax exemption for 2020. It's the amendment, and we're just going to be real brief. It's the amendment for your 2020 tax return for your unemployment, the child tax credit, and then the EITC and the ACTC. Sorry about that. I had a brain fart. So this is for people who have already filed, mainly because that's my position that I'm in, and that's really what I've been focused on trying to figure out is when the hell I'm going to get my money. But I'm also trying to relay, any additional information that I can pass along to my audience. So don't forget, again, if you like these videos, hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications, because I try to keep you updated, like same day information. If not, no, I do same day. So you can pretty much expect if it's something you need to know today, that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm delivering. So on the unemployment tax exemption for 2020, up to $10,200. So what does this mean for individuals who haven't filed and for individuals who have filed? So the IRS commissioner has actually come out and said in this hearing, if you've already filed, absolutely do not file an amended return, that the IRS will be able to take care of it. If you have not filed, you may need an additional form for that. And then I also want to touch briefly on the RRC, the recovery rebate credit, and how this all ties in, because I know it's a lot of information. Do not file an amended return for the unemployment tax exemption for up to $10,200 if you've already filed your 2020 tax return. Real briefly, one of the other things they were talking about in this hearing was, how will this impact and what's being done to get this money into some of the homeless, the dependents for some of the homeless people and the foster children. And they are in the works and in the talks of, you know, figuring out better ways to get these things done. That being said, that leads me to a couple of other topics that I wanted to talk about. One of those is the child tax credit. They're trying to figure out if that's something that's going to be, it's my understanding that this is only for the 2021 tax year. So it will be for 2021. They're trying to implement some either installments, monthly payments. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with this new child tax credit, but it is for 2021, but they're trying to release the funds and make them available to the low income families actually this year, instead of actually having to wait for the 2021 tax filing for 2020 to be able to receive some of that. So they're still trying to figure out the logistics of how they're going to do that, if they're going to do it, if they're going to have a way to implement it. So all these new changes, the IRS has had to update their software and hardware and all this stuff, and it's really been costly, it's been time consuming, and it's been a lot more challenges than they were really prepared for, being, you know, underfunded and understaffed. So try to take that into consideration before you want to take a brick bat and club everyone in the IRS over the head with it. So take it with a grain of salt. It is what it is. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot me. If you are going to leave a thumbs down on my videos, I'd appreciate it if you actually drop a comment. I try to be informative, but if not, and you find that I suck or my content sucks, leave me a message. Let me know how we can improve, and I would love to hear that. So it's my understanding that the commissioner has said that basically they still have to validate these unfinished, unprocessed 2020 tax returns, and it's my understanding that you will have to claim another recovery rebate credit for the dependents that you didn't get on the initial stimulus payment that went out on March 17th, 2021. They did have the payments in millions of people's banks within 24 hours, but unfortunately, my issue is, let's first go back to, so we got the 2020 returns, we got the challenges, we got the unemployment tax exemption, we got the child tax credit. As far as the dependents, it's my understanding that they got your 2020 tax return, they pushed out the stimulus to update your banking information. As far as I know, you have to file a tax return in order to be eligible with a social security number to be counted as the dependents. You're going to have to, you know, figure out a way to file either a non-filer or file a tax return with a social security number to be eligible for the economic impact payments, whether it's the first, second, or third. That's my understanding of how it needs to go and the process that it entails. As far as the child tax credit, they are claiming they're trying to open a portal by July 1st. They pushed back the deadline, and this is why they pushed back the deadline, was to give themselves a little more time, give people a little more time to get their stuff filed and a little bit of breathing room, but also to give the IRS time to implement some of these changes and software that's required for them to be able to deliver some of these child tax credits out by July. So they're basically giving themselves June, the month of June, to get ready to do that and get caught up and finish validating the 2020 tax returns for the dependents for these stimulus credits. So me in particular, I had 4 dependents and then myself. And so my daughter and myself did not get the second stimulus payment. And this is where I have an issue with the process of how this is being implemented and rolled out, because it really does impact, you know, the low income families. And I feel that it does the opposite of rescue people. When they don't get it, then they have to claim it, then they get put to the side, and then they have to refile, and then they have to wait, and then they're just screwed in the meantime. So just like with the unemployment tax exemption credit, that's not something I believe that is going to go out. I believe the message that the commissioner was trying to send was, they got your 2020 tax return. They will use your most recent tax return for all your information. They updated the bank information. They sent checks to as many people as they could with direct deposit on file. They're still working on the backlogs, and they only rushed the stimulus payment out, to people. They obviously aren't in a rush to get your tax returns, but people are starting to complain to, their representatives, and the representatives are passing that along to the House and questioning and bringing these concerns to the commissioner of the IRS. So it's great to actually get some feedback and some information and some real-time help, because that's what the people want. This is a service for the American people, and the American people need to have trust and faith in this service and in the government. And we're counting on the government and this service to work properly. So all of these challenges really have caused a lot of problems for implementing a lot of the exemptions and the credits and the stimulus. So this is really tied in with the stimulus, but this video is really mainly about the tax returns, because that's really what the focus was. But some of those things are important. It was kind of all wrapped up into the same thing. So sorry for the long explanation, but so if you filed your 2020 return and you had unemployment in 2020, they're not going to have you amend that, but they're also not going to put it on your 2020 tax return on your refund. It's my understanding that they're just going to finish processing the bare minimum of your tax return, not send out the tax exemption refund, not send out the earned income credit or the dependent credits, that those are going to actually be recovery rebate credits or refunds that are going to be sent out after your initial 2020 tax return is refunded. So I know that's a lot, and I know that it doesn't make any sense, and it's not really helpful to a lot of people, and that's why I said what I did, because people need help now, and they're going to need to pay their bills now. So everybody wants to know when they can expect to see these things. So that's why I wanted to give you kind of a heads up on where things are, what you can be anticipating and expecting and looking forward to. It sounds like they're working as hard as they can to figure it out as quickly and efficiently as possible. But they're just falling short of being short-staffed and really being able to maintain that connect between the public and, the government and keep things moving. So, end of the day, that's pretty much my 2020 IRS tax return update for Friday. And this is as of almost 10 a.m., March 19th, 2021. On a side note, I just have to say I'm super excited that you guys have responded well and have been very engaging and helpful to each other and asking questions, and that's what it's all about. So to answer a lot of people's questions, at the end of the day, this is what people really want to know, is when can they expect to see their money? The best news that I can give you is that they're working as hard as they can on it, and they are processing a little more than 1 million tax returns per week. So I hope that helps. I hope you like this video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and share it with other people like yourself. I'm John Lee. This has been your 2020 tax return update for Friday, March 19th, 2021. And now my baby's screaming upstairs. On that note, we'll see you next time.